Hello and welcome to the Healing Nation. I'm Dr. J.L. Johnson, your host and your Life Science Nutritional Doctor. Now today we're going to be teaching about high blood, high sugar, high cholesterol, poor circulation, and we're going to show you how you can lower it with just one little pill. So we're going to come back to that, but I want you to know that this particular film that we're doing today is a training tape for families just like you that's watching us right now. And the person that gave you this tape is the person that you want to contact when you need any of the Allomans products. As I said, I'm Dr. J.L. Johnson. I'm a licensed nutritional herbal doctor, licensed by the Board of Medicine. Also, I'm a master herbalist, trained in most of the herbologies in Chinese, Japanese, American, and also with a PhD in nutrition. We own a company called the Alloman Incorporated. I started that company over 29 years ago. And since that time, we now do business all across the United States and in 18 other countries. We have over 1,000 herbal formulations in order to help you with just about any kind of problem that you might have. We are the largest African-American owned health product company anywhere in the world. And in addition to those 1,000 herbal formulations that we have available, I have also formulated over 500 special cleansing, regulating, and rejuvenating teas that can help you to cleanse, regulate, and rejuvenate any part of your body. Did you know that you can clean the brain, the lungs, the liver, the pancreas, the adrenals, the prostate, the reproductive organs, any part of your body? You can clean it, help regulate it, and help rejuvenate it, and that's what we're going to be talking about here tonight. And remember, we want to make this disclaimer right up front. Our products, all of our products are herbal products. We do nothing but herbal products. We do no chemical drugs, no additives or any of those things are in our products at all. Our products only do three things. They help clean the body, they help regulate the body, and they help the body to rejuvenate itself. Our products don't cure anything, nothing at all, absolutely nothing at all. But we're going to show you how, through cleansing, regulating, and rejuvenating your body, that you can get well no matter what the so-called disease is that you have. But today, I'm going to be concentrating specifically on high blood, high sugar, high cholesterol, poor circulation, and if you want to talk about the fats also, the triglycerides that are in the blood. We're going to be talking about cleaning the blood, the importance of cleaning the blood. And as a result of cleaning the blood, you can see that when you clean the blood pressure comes down, the sugar level comes down, the cholesterol level comes down, and you get good circulation going back in your body again. Now, I'm going to be teaching from my new book that is called Common Sense Health. We're going to come back and talk about the book a little bit later in the show. But right now, I'm showing you, we're going to be teaching from this particular book that I wrote some time ago. In this particular book right here, I show you how to solve over 50 major health complaints. And there's over 200 subjects that I talk about in this particular book right here alone, including many of the things that you and your family may come involved with. I believe that this book should be in every home in America. Every home in America. So we're going to come back and talk to you about this book. But if you haven't gotten a copy of this book, you need to order it right now. The person that gave you this tape can also get you the book. So contact them and they will get the book for you. Now, let's get into today's show. But before we do that, I hope that you have gathered your family members around, and I want you to get out some pencil and paper because I'm going to give you some powerful information. On top of that, I'm going to give you information that you probably never heard of, and then I'm going to give you some information that's going to knock your socks off, so that you learn that you don't have to have high blood, high sugar, high cholesterol, poor circulation, or any of those things. If you learn the importance of cleaning the blood on a regular basis. And that is what we're going to be talking about. Now, first of all, I want to talk about so-called diabetes. And I said so-called because, over 10 years ago, I made a statement. I said I did not believe that there's any such thing as type 2 diabetes. I mean, I took a look at this thing. You know, we've been doing this for over 29 years. We counsel literally hundreds of thousands of people across this country and around the world. And I took a look at this thing and I began to ask some questions. And here's some questions that you need to be asking right now. First of all, I wanted to know, what is so-called type 2 diabetes? And the answer is, when you look it up, the answer is that it is a disease that is caused by high sugar levels in the blood. Now, I want you to participate with me as I go through this information. I want you to answer the questions for yourself as an individual or as a group if you're watching it as a group. But I want you to answer the questions as I ask you these questions. So first of all, the question I wanted to know is, what is so-called diabetes? And the answer is that it's a disease that is caused by high sugar levels in the blood. Now, where's the sugar? It's in the blood. That's where the sugar is. Now, for those of you out there that's watching this tape, that check your sugar on a daily basis. If you're sticking the end of your fingers or sticking yourself somewhere else on your body in order to get that little bit of blood, here's the first question for you. When you get that little bit of blood, what are you looking for? Well, let me answer it for you. What you're looking for is the amount of sugar that's in that blood, because that is what will determine how high or how low your sugar level is. That's exactly where you go. So where do you go to get this information? To the blood. That's exactly where you go. So you need to know how much sugar is in that blood. Now, here's another question for you. Who put the sugar in the blood? You did. You put the sugar in the blood. There's no little green men out there running around putting sugar in your blood. Your grandparent, it's not hereditary, because there's no hereditary factor here that's putting this sugar in your blood. There's only one way that sugar can get in your blood. How? You put it there. That's the only way that it can get in your blood. Now, the next question is, how do you put it there? And the answer is by what you eat and what you drink on a daily basis. Now, I know many people out there that's listening to me right now don't want to take the responsibility for this, because they think someone else should get their sugar level down. They think some drug should get their sugar level down. Or maybe their professional can get their sugar down. Or they think that it can't come down anyway because they have so-called diabetes. But I am here to tell you right now that it is your responsibility to get your sugar down. So we know now that you put the sugar in the blood. We also know how you put it in, by what you eat and what you drink on a daily basis. There's no question about that. Now, you agree with me on that? Now, the next thing is, if that's true, then who controls your sugar? And the answer is, you do. You control your sugar. And if that's true, then the next thing is that tells me that you can be diabetic whenever you want. Is that not true? I mean, if you control it, then you can be diabetic whenever you want. Every day you wake up, you decide that I'm going to be diabetic today. And I'm going to show you how you do that. You decide it. You make up your mind. It's not something that is there because it's sugar in the blood. That's what it is. Now let's go a step further here. So we know that you control this thing, and you control it by what you eat and what you drink every day of your life. So it becomes tantamount to know what foods actually put the sugar in your blood and cause your sugar level to rise, and to keep the sugar where? In the blood. So the sugar is in the blood. Remember that. Remember that? I want you to keep that in your mind, because when we're done here, you're going to realize that you never have to be diabetic ever again in your life. Never. And if you have it, you can reverse it. Within 30 days, you can no longer be diabetic. No longer be. Because if you get a hold of this information I'm giving you right now, the only reason that you're going to be diabetic is that you decide that you're going to stay and be diabetic. That's the only reason that you will be diabetic. Now listen to me. There are 14 foods that make you diabetic, in my opinion, and keep you diabetic. Now, first of all, I want you to write them down. And we're going to talk about those foods somewhat. But I'm not going to go into depth too much on those. I want you to get the book, because in the book, I explain those foods explicitly in those books. I go into depth on those foods. Now listen to me. First of all, the number one food that we found that caused you to be so-called diabetic is white processed sugar. You know, over 29 years ago, I did a study down in Miami, Florida. I did a study, and what I did is I took the whole food, all the foods in the food chain that most of the people out there were eating, and I narrowed it down to what I call the 8 most dangerous foods. Now, then I found out later that when it comes to so-called diabetes or high sugar levels in the blood, which is what it is, I found out that there were more foods that you had to talk about. And so I rounded it out that there's now 14 of those foods that make you and keep you diabetic. Now, so number one at the top of the list is white processed sugar. We're talking about white processed sugar. The stuff, the stuff you season your everything with. You know, the ones you buy the 5 pounds out of the grocery store. The white processed sugar. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a drug to your body. White sugar is an acid to your body. It makes your blood acidic. That causes all kinds of illnesses in your body. All kinds of problems that they give fancy names and sell you drugs for. But this is the reason. White processed sugar is the number one food that we find that puts the sugar in your blood. The number one food, because it is sugar, and this sugar goes directly into your bloodstream. You see, now as we talk tonight, and as I educate you, I want you to realize that there's 2 kinds of foods out there, like there's 2 kinds of everything else. You know, there's 2 kinds of everything else. Well, there's 2 kinds of foods out there. And I want you to know the difference so that you never have to be so-called diabetic ever again. Your children never have to be diabetic if you get a hold of what I'm saying to you right now. Now, right along with the white sugar, there is the sugar substitutes. Now, the sugar substitutes, the little pink packs, blue packs, the little yellow packs, those things right that we're talking about there, the sugar substitutes, we found that they're anywhere from 300 to 500 times sweeter than the white sugar itself. That means the minute that you put it in your body, the minute it hits your tongue, it goes directly into your bloodstream and then directly to your brain. This stuff can be very, very, very dangerous for you and your family. This stuff will raise your sugar level immediately. So if you don't want to be diabetic, you cannot use this stuff at all. You cannot put it in your body. Now listen to me. That's number one. Number 2 on the list is white processed flour. Yeah, white flour. I'm talking, white flour. And anything that's made with it. We're talking about cakes, pies, cookies, donuts, pizzas, cream of wheat, grits, cereals. Any of the stuff that's made with white flour, including processed meals that you get from the grocery store. We're talking about any of those things. Breads, cakes, pies, any of those things that's made with white processed flour. You know, it's amazing to me that many people out there think that this flour automatically changes for some reason. They think that because it is called cereal, that it's no longer white flour. But it is white flour. That's what it is. You can call it whatever you want, but to the body, it is what? Sugar. It is sugar to the body. So white flour is sugar to your body, no matter what form it's in. Whether it's in a biscuit, a bagel, or cereal that you get from the grocery store, just about all of the cereals in the grocery store is white flour. Therefore, they are sugar to your body. So think about this. When you sit down in the morning and eat a big bowl of cereal, you are really eating a big bowl of what? Sugar. That's exactly what you're doing, is eating a big bowl of sugar. And we're going to come back and talk about sugar loading a little bit later. But that's what most people do every day of their lives. They sugar load their bodies when they get up in the morning time. Now, and that decides right away that they're going to be diabetic that day. That's exactly what happens. I'm going to show you how people do that. But let's move on. White flour, anything that's made with. Now that includes cereals, grits, your cream of wheat. Even though you say cream of wheat, yes, cream of wheat is sugar to your body. No, the only way that it's not is that it's whole grain. Write that down. You need whole grain grits, whole grain cereals, whole grain bread, whole grain biscuit, all of it. Whole grain is the key word, not whole wheat. but whole grain is you want. Now, we also talked about the sugar before, but I didn't give you the opposite of that. So why don't we do that? As I go down the list here, I'm going to give you both kinds of foods. I'm going to give you what I call live foods and dead foods. All right, live foods and dead foods. So draw a line on your page and put live foods and dead foods, because you need to know about this. Because if you eat dead, you get dead. That's the way it works, my friend. So you want to eat live foods. Now, so we talked about white processed sugar. You want to stay away from those kind of things. You want to stay away from the sugar substitutes. But what do you want to eat? Well, there is real brown sugar, not the brown sugar in the grocery store now. There's one out there. There's some sugars out there. One of them is called turbinado sugar, and there's some other names like that. But you can get real brown sugar, even in the grocery stores now. But you want to go to a Whole Food Market or a health food store to get this kind of sugar, real granulated brown sugar. That's what you want. A real sugar that has not been processed. Now, number 3 on the list, we talked about white sugar, white flour. Now, number 3 on the list is a group of drinks. That includes sodas, coffee, tea, orange juice, punch, juices out of the grocery store. This stuff is filled with sugar, my friend. Filled with sugar. So when the average soda can have anywhere from 39 to 59 tablespoonfuls of sugar. And there is no such thing, ladies, as a diet soda. Most of the diet sodas have more sugar in it than the regular sodas. So therefore, when you drink one, you are dumping all of this sugar in your body. If it has, let's say it has 39 tablespoonfuls of sugar in it. Well, can you sit at your kitchen table right now where you are, go and get a glass and a tablespoon and put 39 tablespoons in that glass? Take a look at it, and that's what you put in your body every time you drink a soda. And that's what you give to your children when you give them a whole soda to drink. That is what, and you want to know why the children are becoming diabetic? You want to know why they're overweight? It's because you're giving them all of this dead foods to put in their bodies. This is really what's happening now. So we want to talk about sodas, coffee, tea. Yeah, coffee. Coffee has 2 sugars even if you don't put sugar in it. Yes, it does. And then also tea, sodas, orange juice, punch, juices out of the grocery store. These things are filled with sugar. Next on the list is red meat. Now, red meat is very important when you talk about so-called diabetes, because red meat has fat, and the fat clogs up the blood. When the blood becomes very thick and viscous, then that causes the sugar to stay in the blood longer. You understand? So therefore, fat becomes a major factor when you're taking a look at diabetes. Not just all of the mumbo jumbo that they've been telling you, but you got to take a look at the fats also. You got to take a look at the mucus also. That makes the blood what? Very thick and viscous. So when it's thick like that, it keeps the sugar in the blood longer. Therefore, you can't get it out of the blood. So therefore, you stay diabetic all of your life. You see how it works? That's how it works. Now listen to me. So we're talking here now about red meat. So instead of eating the red meat, that includes the dark meat of chicken and turkey. Yes, it does. And don't forget the wings could be one of the fattest parts of the chicken. So you want to sort of stay away from that. Now, what do you want to eat? Then the goods, and now the live section, you want to put over there breast of chicken, breast of turkey, white meat fish. This is what you want to put there. Now, next on the list is dairy products. Now, dairy products, in my opinion, should have been number 1, but sugar sort of beat it out. Dairy products, we're talking about cheese, macaroni and cheese, yogurt, ice cream, any of those kinds of things. Any kind of cow's milk, 1%, 2%, low fat, lactose intolerant, all of those things are sugar to your body. I don't care what you call it. The body, this is sugar to your body. Sugar, my friend. Now, and remember that it is that dairy products is, in my opinion, the most mucus-forming food on this earth, bar none. This product clogs up the blood, makes the blood very thick and viscous. Do you know that half of the heart attacks and stroke happen because of mucus that's in the blood that makes the blood too thick? That, and not because of a blood clot, but a mucus clot that causes the person to have a heart attack or stroke. I know, nobody ever told you that, but you need to know that, because this is very important. It is not just the blood clots you got to look out for. You got to look out for the mucus clots. That's why that's why it is very dangerous to put in all of this dairy products. On top of that, it is also the most mucus forming food on this earth. It clogs up the head, the chest, the bowels, the stomach. And see, all they do when it's in different areas of the body, they just give it different names. So if it's in the head, what do they call it? They call it sinus rhinitis and sinusitis and all of these kinds of names. And then if you move that down to the chest, then they call it what? Asthma, bronchitis, pneumonia, emphysema. And if you move it further down to the colon, then they call it colitis and ileitis and irritable bowel syndrome and all of these kinds of things. But it's the same mucus, the same stuff that comes from eating too much flour and too much dairy products. Now, next on the list is drinking too much fluids. Now, I know every time I get to this, I get a lot of questions because people all over this world have been indoctrinated to believe that they need to drink a whole lot of fluids. Well, I'm here to tell you that you don't need all of that fluids. First of all, that you need to get a hold of it. But this is another tape, and I want you to get a hold of it. The tape that we have on kidney failure, you need to get a hold of that tape and ask for that. And I'll go into that in depth. But let me just give you briefly. Drinking too much fluids can be a major contributing factor to raising your sugar level, raising your blood pressure, causing all kinds of problems in your blood. You see, this is very important. So how much drink should we do? Well, most people out there have been taught that they need to drink what? 8 to 10 glasses of water a day. We can do this in unison, right? Everybody knows how much you should drink. 8 to 10 glasses. Well, that's wrong. It's wrong because we don't need that much fluid, my friend. All of the evidence shows that we don't need all of that fluid. The kidneys can only make 2 quarts of urine a day. That's all. That's all it can make. Doesn't matter if you stand on your head, if you turn blue, whatever it is, it still can only make 2 quarts of urine a day if it's operating at optimal level. If it's weak, it will not make that much urine. So here's the thing that you gotta realize. What we found is that the average person, and write this down, the average person should drink no more than 4 ounces at any one given time and never more than 40 ounces of total fluid for the day unless there's some extenuating circumstances. Let me say it again. 4 ounces at one time, that's a half a glass, and no more than 40 ounces of total fluid for the day. That's counting the fruits, that's counting the melons, that's counting all of the other fluids that you put in, not just water, but your juices and all your tea and all of this stuff. That should all be counted in that 40 ounces for the whole day. Now, you should only urinate, get this, you should only urinate 3 times a day and 1 time a night. That's all. That's what the average person out there should only urinate. Because when you urinate more than that, you've got a problem. And you can end up on dialysis. End up hooked up on dialysis. So you've got to be careful here about drinking all of this fluid. This is a major considering factor to your health, is how much fluids do you drink on a daily basis. And forget about it. You do not need all of that fluid in your body. Now, next thing on the list is animal fats. And that's butter, margarine, lard, corn oils, bacon grease, saturated fats, these kind of things. Those are bad fats. They're also good fats. Now, you can go to your health food store and you can get olive oil. There's olive oil in the grocery store, and there's olive oil in the health food store. The olive oil in the health food store is normally on the bottle. It will say, write this down, it will say cold press or first press. Expeller, the word expeller shall be on the bottle. Now, that's very important. Now, ones in the grocery store, I consider to be junk food. Those are not good fats. They're bad fats. So you want to put in good fat. Now, you can use olive oil, canola oil, and other kinds of oil. Just got to make sure that it's real oil. Now, next on the list is junk food in general. Of course, you could go to a hamburger joint, get a hamburger, or go and get a cheeseburger, some fries, and a Coke, and you've got all of these 8 most dangerous foods in one meal. Did you know that? So you don't want to do that on a very often. You don't want to take your children out to these kinds of things very often, because you can give them all of these foods in one setting. So be careful with that. Now, there are four more foods that if you have so-called diabetes or high sugar levels in the blood, there's some fruits that you do not want to touch. Now, I want to give them to you, and I want you to know about this. First of all, you cannot have bananas. No, you cannot have bananas. You cannot have a half a banana. No, because it will raise your sugar level immediately. I don't care what you've heard before. The information is wrong because what you're doing is not working. You still have so-called diabetes. You have to eliminate you have to eliminate the banana in order to get rid of the so-called sugar out of your blood. So you must eliminate the banana. You must eliminate the grapes. You can't have 1 grape, 2 grape, 3 grape. You must eliminate grapes from your diet. Eliminate the grapes from your diet. You must also eliminate the avocado. You must eliminate the avocados from your diet. And also, definitely, you must eliminate the oranges and the orange juice. The oranges and the orange juice. You should never put these in your body. And also, there's some other dried fruits can also be a major problem for you. Now, those are the 14 most dangerous foods for a person who think that they're so-called diabetic or have high sugar levels. Now, we've talked about the foods we talked about why you have this thing or why you think you have this thing. So now we know how the sugar gets in the blood. It gets in there by what you eat and what you drink on a daily basis. Now you know what foods you should never put in your body. Now the next question comes is, how do I get rid of this thing called diabetes or so-called high sugar levels? How do I get rid of it? Well, the only way, we must ask ourselves some questions. Number one, what is so-called diabetes? It is a disease that is caused by high sugar levels where? In the blood. So where's the sugar? It's in the blood. Now, here's a question for you. How do you get the sugar out of the blood? The answer? Clean it out. The only way that you're going to get the sugar out of the blood is to clean it out of the blood. Now, here's a question for you. Many of you out there that's listening to me right now are taking insulin, and many of you are taking sugar pills, and many of you are taking both, and many of you are taking more than one of each of those. Now I want to ask you a question here, and I want you to think about this for a moment. Does insulin take sugar out of the blood? Answer? No, it does not. It doesn't take sugar out of the blood. So if it doesn't take sugar out of the blood, then what does it do? I mean, why do you take it? You think about this for a moment. Why do you take the insulin? Because it doesn't take sugar out of the blood. Where's the sugar? The sugar's in the blood. Now wait, does sugar pills take sugar out of the blood? Whether you're taking 1 or 2 or whatever, does it take sugar out of the blood? Answer, no, it doesn't. You can take those drugs until the cows come home. The sugar is still going to be where? In the blood. The sugar will still be in the blood, and you will still be considered so-called diabetic. Until you get the sugar out of the blood, you are still so-called diabetic. There's no question about it. So I have to ask a question here. If insulin does not take sugar out of the blood, and if sugar pills doesn't take sugar out of the blood, why are you taking it? I mean, think about it for a moment. What does it do? Well, we found out that those drugs can destroy the body. They can really destroy the body. It is the drugs in most cases that can lead to the collapsing of the capillaries of the body. It can lead to the pancreas not